Good morning. Now that's a, thank you for, look, and I am so pleased to have like a full room of people at 8:50 in the morning in Las Vegas. When they signed me out, when I signed up, I was like, really? 8:50 in the morning on day 2? I mean, we're gonna show. So thank you for coming out. Thank you for full room. And I'm gonna make a deal. I've got 10 minutes, right? Or 9 minutes now, a little bit left. Here's the deal. You're not gonna get a single product plug from me. You're not gonna get any kind of pitch. What you're gonna get from me is a data point we're gonna talk about, and we're gonna talk about the why of it. But first, let me tell you a little bit like who I am. So I'm a channel vet. I've been doing this for a long time. The thing I'm most proud about is the fact that I have a degree in computer science, but the thing anybody is ever actually interested in is that I owned an MSP for a decade. So I actually went out in the field, owned and operated an MSP, built it all up, serviced customers, and delivered MSP services. I sold that business and I hopped over to the vendor side because I felt, I bet I could teach vendors a thing or two about being better with solution providers, and that's what I do now. And I get to spend a lot of time doing big thinking about where the industry's going, what we're doing, and how things are moving forward. So I get to talk to a lot of different solution providers, and I get to engage with all of our customer base around the world. And the number one thing I hear all the time from solution providers is this. It's always around, I need to sell more. I need help with sales, I need help with leads, I need more customers, I need more marketing. That's always the thing that we talk about when I'm engaged with somebody. I say, what's your number one problem? And who feels that way? Quick show of hands. Who feels like their biggest problem is I need more customers? Yep, exactly what I would expect to see. I see like a bunch of people say, yes, this is my pain point. And on the vendor side, we spend tons of money and time on training, on sales enablement, on programs, on things to help you engage. And you spend a ton of time thinking about it. And if I talk to the average MSP or solution provider, they're always going, I need to hire a sales guy, or I'm having trouble managing my sales guys. Or this is the recurring thing we hear over and over again. I'm seeing lots of nodding. So it's like, okay, you're with me here. And it's interesting that when we think about that problem, because what we're trying to do is grow our businesses, and we're trying to grow revenue through the engagement with sales, right? That's the big thing. But we recently went out and we did a survey of the solution provider community with the 2112 group. And we came back and we worked on this data, and we came back and we found something that was really interesting, that there is a churn problem among solution providers. That when you average this all out, for the 4 customers gained monthly, there's 3 lost monthly. Now, it's not every month that way, and it doesn't work out perfectly if it's not for everyone, but on average, when we look across the solution provider base, we found a churn problem. If you're selling to 4 and losing 3, it's only a customer gained a month. That's not great news. And if we're thinking and we're focused solely on this must sell more, must drive more, but we're churning out on the other side, that's something we really need to look about. Because when we think about a sales machine, right, if we're trying to grow and we're trying to push forward, if we keep adding to a broken machine, we're not making things any better. In fact, we run the risk of making the problem far, far worse. If you're saying, I want to sell more, and I snap my fingers and the magic wand happens, and I've now tripled your sales, can your machine handle that? Does the churn get worse because of what I just did? Is the thing you're wishing for making the problem worse? And that's something that's really, really critically important for us to think about. Because if we're not focused on that customer experience, if we're not focused on delivering our core bit, that's a problem. Now, I look at this and say, this sounds like really bad news, but I think it's actually an opportunity in disguise. Because if we can reduce churn just slightly, this makes a really big difference, like a massive difference in our business. Because if we look at those net numbers, right, you churn 1 less customer on average per month, I have doubled your sales output. That's what I just did. with an existing customer, with somebody you already have a relationship with that you don't have to go through that whole process of selling and marketing to. You do that one adjustment, you make your churn problem better, and I've accelerated your sales engine. I've solved the core problem. And I'm going to make it better overall. I'm going to fix the machine. So this is really where it's important to focus on. And I want you to leave the comfort zone a little bit and focus on that service quality. Like, focus on making sure that you really are making a difference here, like that you are delivering that exact service. Be harsh on your service delivery. Customers expect an awful lot these days, an awful lot. Think about how often you get excited by a service delivery and how you really do think about that experience. You remember the really good ones, but you know what you remember? The really bad ones too. And we're in a marketplace where sometimes we get overlooked on the good times, on all sides, service provider, telco. When the system works, nobody calls the administrator and says, thanks today because everything ran. They don't do that. We get noticed when things go wrong. We don't get noticed when things go right. So oftentimes our opportunity to impress from a service perspective is when they're in crisis, when there's a problem, a service ticket, a down situation, a call, a service. Like, these are the areas where we can focus on making sure that experience is really great. And by the way, this is why contracts matter. This is why the engagement matters, because it helps make sure that you're establishing the relationship and you have more ability to work with them and make sure that you're not losing that slack. And by the way, let's not overlook soft skills. And let's be honest, we're in a technical field. Oftentimes, this is an area where we have to work with our people and help them be better at this because it doesn't necessarily come naturally. Have you called your own help desk recently? Have you called in and gotten service? Have you felt that experience that the customer does? It's something that you need to focus on and think about, because again, if we're focused on fixing the sales engine, churn makes a big difference. Now, when I also think about this, there's an opportunity here because there's areas where we're not doing enough. And I want to focus some around security. And the reason why is because that's the pain point that's going to cause a lot of this churn. Cisco's got some recent data out here that says like 1 in 4 endpoints is going to get infected by a piece of malware or malicious activity. That's 1 in 4. Do you stick with the service provider that lets you get infected? Not really. And you might let it go when it happened, but you're going to remember that. And you're going to remember the incident, and it's going to lose that faith. And when I look and say, like, where is this? Where is the opportunity? It's about thinking about this layered security approach, like making sure that I've got all the right components to make sure that I've delivered. It's not just antivirus. It's all of the bits. It's the perimeter bits. It's the user bits. It's all of the components that make up the layers of it, because we know it's not perfect. And you're going to want to move from just thinking about managed services or thinking about the core pits into those SOC services, into the additional responsibilities around compliance and around threat detection. And there's a ton to this, by the way. We published a ton of information on this. If you want to dig into it, we've got those resources for you. But that's the thinking that we want you to do, because the value of this breach is the piece that the customers are going to take with them. And they're going to go, this is that expense. Losing data is super expensive. These underserved areas that people are not doing enough of, security assessments and security operations and the information and event management, not enough solution providers are doing this. This is the high value stuff that delivers really good service where people don't want to leave you. They don't want to churn. So I want you to think about that experience and say, what are the things I can do better to make us a better organization, and then when can I add to make sure that they're getting that great experience? Churn matters. Establish the contract and then add more value with the additional stickier additions. That's my quick takeaway. That's my time. Thank you all very much for the attention. I really appreciate it.